Hello everyone and welcome back to CTCR. We are here in round 8, just past the midway point of the season for the Belgian Grand Prix, and yes, it is an exciting one. So we have some new faces, some returning, some brand new coming to the grid. Obviously we're back to now in a full-time seat at Aston Martin in Tier 1 till the end of the season. This man right here, Tiernan McSee, brand new driver, and is going to try and impress by setting the first lap. Another few new ones. Obviously this is I think Hypex's first race in Tier 1. Jack is his first race since Canada last season, where he finished P6. Jaeger hasn't raced since last season, and he is back yet again. Most of the other drivers, other than also CRM Doodle, has a long time since he has raced. But we'll ride on board with Tiernan McSee, who is going to be the first driver to start a lap here in Belgium as he comes up to the bus stop chicane. We'll see what he has to offer. He's got an Aston Martin right on his tail. Other than that, it's just him and clear track all the way to, I think that's Rando in the Alpine, all the way there down at Bruxelles. So as he heads up now towards Eau Rouge, it's been a clean start so far, up towards 3, 4, 5, up to Radion, where your lap can be completely ruined, and it is here, as he has invalidated, so not the best start for him. Back 2 manages to keep it on track. He heads down the Kemmel straight now towards Le Combs. And you can see what he can do as he's left by there, but I think that's Tiernan. Goes through over the curb as Rando is out. Rando's gone straight on there at turn 15, and he is out of qualifying. There's also some other sectors. I think Tyro, or maybe that's Hypex, went for a spin, so he's down there, and there was another problem down at sector 1, and there's, I think that's a Red Bull going slow. But we'll continue on with back 2 on his lap. Currently gone through Pouillon now, up towards sector 3 now. The final few corners to go as we head up to where Rando retired, and we don't know where he went off here. Could have possibly been straight on there, but he is more than likely going to be starting from the back of the grid because of that. Back 2 with a very, very good middle sector to be proud of. Still has a lot to do now as he heads up towards Blanchimont now. Alfa Romeo, I think that's JRR ahead of him, who will go again, as I think that's a Mercedes round. That could be, it's Jake Mates at Pouillon, as back 2 is going to get the first timed lap on the board. It's going to be a 1:44.1. Next to try and stop that will be CRM Doodle in the Mercedes. Can he do anything to beat back 2? If he can't, he goes P2 for now. Next across the line, Tyro. It's not a very strong lap from him. After that comes, I think that's Oven Curry, who invalidated, so his time doesn't matter. Hypex is going to set his time, he's going to go 3rd. Jaeger on an out lap. As I missed there, Jinx went fastest, and then it was complete teammate to Magnus with a lap to be proud of there. A 1:43.9 goes into the top 3 for now. It's JRR coming to the line. He goes 2nd fastest and splits the 2 championship contenders. We talk about the championship contenders now. and where they're situated, Jinx leading the championship by 4 points to SLR Quattro in second. And then comes Jinx's teammate Hyper, who, although being 50 points behind and 60 points behind, results go his own way. Owen Curry 1 point behind Hyper, and then it's JRR and Lucas Paul who are a little bit further behind than they would have liked to be. Coming to the line now, I think that's Jake May. He's invalidated. Jaeger also hasn't quite got a lap together yet. He's into the pit lane. To Magnus, I think. Is this? No, it's not. It's going to be a slow lap. He is into the pits himself. Nobody on a fast lap, other than I think that could be CRM Doodle. He was, up until he went off there at turn 7 in Lacombs, out into the grass. Jack LFC is going to get his first timed lap on the board here now, and it's not going to be a bad one from the AlphaTauri as he goes P8. It is the worst of the competitive laps so far, but I'm sure he'll still have some time in him to improve. Nobody else on a lap at the moment. Everyone in that crossover period, obviously it being Belgium, very long lap, have to carry a lot of fuel. It does take a while to get an out lap, a hot lap, and then an in lap. Already now, although JRR I think is out of fuel as he's heading to the line. You're looking at... oh, he clips the wall. Needs to be careful there. Yeah, 88 minutes of the session already done. Here comes everyone now out on their second runs, and Owen Curry is going to be the first one to set it. I think that's someone who's joined the session there, if I'm not correct. No, two Magnus has left the session, so he's going to have to try and get back in. Brakes didn't work, according to Rando. It must be a controller issue. So Owen Curry has taken about 2 minutes here to get round and set a timed lap. I think that could be Tyro, who's starting his lap now himself, maybe ahead of him. I think that's a Alpine, or is it SLR Quattro? It is on his out lap. So keep an eye on Tyro, because he definitely has a lot of time to improve. He definitely can improve a lot of time. And through the first sector, he is level on his first time. Notoriously a very quick driver, Tyro, when he has to be. Himself and Psyche can be really, really quick at times. We'll see what they have to offer, what he has to offer today. Didn't have much to offer in Britain last week, and he was quite quick in Austria, but he's still waiting for that race where he is back at the top where he was in season 3. Drifts almost around Pouillon there as he heads now towards the end of the lap. The tricky section of Campus and Stevelot here, and turn 14 and 15, and now they head towards the final part. 10 seconds up on his time. This is the real part of your track where all your time can be made, as there's an incident down there involving back 2. Tyro is going to come to the line, and he is going to go 5th fastest. Oh, and that's Hypex gone off. Jack on a cool lap, Griffin on an out lap behind him. One of the Red Bulls of Jinx, who's 3/10 up. 3/10 up, a bit more time now gained through Blanchimont, and he may be able to take back provisional pole here, at least for a few seconds, as SLR Quattro's on a lap. Through the bus stop chicane he goes now, see if he can straight line it, and maybe dip into the 142s. He does not dip into the 142s, but he does get back pole position. For how much longer is the question. Hyper starts his lap and Quattro is up on his time. He'll need to be up by a little bit more though if he wants to take back pole. At the moment he will just improve enough to get within 7/10, but he'd like to improve a little bit more. Quattro is going to get on the power, and he does improve, but not by enough. They are split by one of the smallest margins, 0.03 of a second. And it's going to be close. CRM Doodle next across the line. Behind him is, I think, JRR. How much is he up on his time? Oh, as he loses it! And smacks the barrier. And almost puts himself out of qualifying as Oven Curry goes 3rd fastest. We got Jaeger, who's just into the pits. Behind him is an Alfa Romeo. And then we have Jack, who I think is coming to the end of his lap now. 2 drivers still yet to set a time. That's Griffin and it's Jake May. Hyper still yet to set a competitive time. Can Jack improve any bit more than what he was already on? He can. He can jump Hypex and go up into P11. Hyper 11 seconds up, so this will be a competitive time. A little bit more time gained, and he could possibly dip up towards the front row. We can see still hunting that first race win as he goes round the bus stop chicane now. Griffin into the pits. Hyper only P8. So still a lot to do. Looking around, I don't think anyone else is on a hot lap. Nope, so another kind of lull period here in the race. Looks like we've only 16 for today. Don't think we're going to get anyone else in. Oh, and that's JRR has run out of fuel again. And that'll be interesting to see if he'll get round in time to possibly get another lap, because it's going to take at least another minute for him to get back to the pit lane. Ooh, and Slake has joined. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to have Psych in the Haas. Just let him know that. So Psych actually won around here. Unfortunately, the win was taken away because of his win was taken away from him because of an incident up at turn 3 in Austria, and his win was also taken away from him here in Belgium after some funny business under the safety car. He's going to join, but he's not going to be able to set a lap time, unfortunately, so he will start right from the back of the grid. Tiernan McSee starting his final lap. I don't think anyone else is on a lap. Yeah, Jaeger's only starting. Magnus on an in-lap and Hypex. Ooh. Will he make it round in time in order to set another lap? He will have enough fuel, but he's gonna have to get around quick. Jaeger starts his lap. Everyone is gonna have to get to the line now in time. We'll ride on board with Tiernan and keep an eye on his car, who has had some adventures into the grass already, as the side pod is a bit covered in a bit of dirt there as he drifts round these corners, and he's just barely up in his time. A little bit more and he could just dip himself into the 43s. He has shown that he can be a quick driver in other leagues I've seen, and we'll see if he can do the same here today. Through Pouillon he goes. Drifts a little bit wide but keeps it on track. And now up towards 13, 14, 15, probably what some of the most difficult corners in order to try and gain time. And he runs wide, but he keeps it valid. Whether or not he's improved or not, I don't know. Jack has DNF'd and Tiernan slows down, and that is him finished with qualifying. Behind is Jaeger, who's a 10th down, but will he be any bit up on his time now, as he just about avoids Jack on the exit there. We'll see what he can do now to the end of his sector. He is 2/10 up. A bit more time gained here, Jaeger, and you could possibly dip yourself a little bit higher than P10 as he heads now up towards Blanchimont, one of the most trickiest high-speed corners. So easy to invalidate. Now the bus stop chicane. This is where laps can be ruined in the final corners, but that is taking lovely by Jaeger. Can he get himself into the top 5? Yes, he can. He just demotes Magnus, and it's going to be interesting to see who can take that off him. Griffin, this is finally going to be his lap where he can get a solid time on the board. There he goes through the bus stop chicane as CRM Doodle retires now. Griffin will set a lap. It's not going to be competitive enough. Next across the line, Tyro. He goes quicker. P3 for him, a great lap. Back 2 next. He can't improve. After that, SLR Quattro, 3/10 up. The only man that could probably stop him is Jinx. As we'll keep an eye on 2 Magnus coming to the line. Same with it's Jake May, going to be setting his only time. But it's all down to Jinx, whether he can gain 3/10 or not. He hasn't. He's gone off, and that has completely ruined his lap. And it's only going to be second for Jinx. Oh, that could have been an amazing end to qualifying. But he loses it with a snap of oversteer out of the bus stop chicane. And it's going to be SLR Quattro for the 5th time this season on pole position. So SLR Quattro on pole yet again. Jinx in second with Tyro. Very impressive lap from him in third. Fourth, JRR. I think only said it with his first lap. Next after that it's Jake May with only 1 lap. A very solid one to put him 5th. Mercedes needing an excellent, and after his disappointing result in Britain, he'd love to be on the podium. Owen Curry in 6th, and Jaeger with an impressive drive to put himself 7th on his return. To Magnus 8th, back 2 in 9th. Hyper could only get 10th for Red Bull, so Williams get the better of Red Bull today. Tiernan McSee 11th, Doodle 12th, Jack 13th, Hypex 14th, Griffin 15th, and Rando, who DNF'd early on, starts 16th. So We're also, I think, going to have Psych. Do not know what car he'll be racing in. I think he was going to be Haas, but we don't know if he'll be Haas or not. We'll see now. I'm pretty sure he'll be McLaren. More than likely. We'll see now because the session is starting. So Psych is back in the McLaren. That is amazing to see, and I am very happy to see that. Here we go, as the cars lead to see how this race goes. So we'll look as far as tyres, and Psych starts on the softs. Everyone else on the mediums, apart from Rando, CRM Doodle, Hyper, Jaeger, and it's Jake Mate and JRR, the only two in the top 5 to take the hard tyres over the mediums. Any last comments before we get underway? We're 15 watching the stream. Feel free to comment away, as there's not much really else to comment about under a formation lap. Looking up the field as the cars start to go. I'll keep the track map just active to make sure no one is causing any illegitimate gaps. That should be filled. Ooh, it's a tiring day. But I'm hoping to maybe just get a bit of energy up for the start of the race. So I think everyone on their safety car seems to be, or on their formation lap seems to be doing okay. Hopefully we don't have much safety cars like in Britain. It was a brilliant race around there, and it's only 22 laps around here, but it's going to be 22 very long laps. First time racing here since season 3, and this season really does remind me of season 3, with both championship protagonists on the front row, with Tyro, or the championship championship chaser Quattro on pole, and Jinx second. So we'll watch as Quattro comes round the final corner now to line his car up on the grid. As he slows down, everyone just going to have to be careful with how you line up on the grid. Quattro, a bit of a burnout there towards the end. He will have the racing line into the first corner. And as we finally then wait for Psych, who will be the last one, we will see if we can get a good camera angle. This is probably the best we have. CRM Doodle couldn't quite park the car properly, and we're about to get underway because Psych does the same. Here we go, 5 red lights here for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go. It's a good getaway from Quattro, who is going to be able probably to keep the lead. That's an AlphaTauri of Oven Curry diving down the inside, staying just away from Quattro as everyone seems to get away cleanly. That's a Red Bull onto the grass. That's a Williams and a Ferrari around at the back of Hypex, and I think that was 2 Magnus. But it's a clean getaway from everyone. Another fabulous start from Oven Curry to jump places just like in Britain, and as we look at the front, it looks like Jinx really is getting very, very close to SLR Quattro, possibly enough to take the lead. Griffin retires from the session, and I think that is a safety car early on in the race. Hectic start. Griffin is around, and other than that, I think everyone got away quite cleanly. Other than I think Hypex and Magnus had a bit of an incident and spun out at the start. Other than that, I don't think anyone else has really lost too much places. Other than obviously Griffin loses 2, Magnus drops a lot of places because of that. Obviously Owen Curry, another great start, and JRR has already picked up a penalty. Magnus has left the session, hopefully he can get back in. Rando, fabulous start from him. Great start from Syke, Tiernan, and other than that, I think everyone else has kind of just had a normal enough getaway, as we now wait for drivers to catch up to the safety car and hopefully can get back going sooner rather than later. Yeah, unfortunately we'd love to see you here, Douglas, but your internet has spoke otherwise. Gonna reset to PS5, that's fine. Magnus, just try and get back in before your AI smashes into somebody. And Syke is already into the pits. Now, I wonder why he's in the pits there now. He's replaced his wing and he's gone for the medium tyres. So that's going to change up his strategy. He's a little bit more to do now. Both of the protagonists have got a clean getaway. And it could be a chance for Quattro to retake the lead of the championship since Spain. It's the last time he was in the lead. The break happened and he unfortunately DNF'd in Austria as he was starting to get a bit of a getaway. 2 DNFs this season for Quattro, unlike last season where he only had I think 1. He has 2 this season in Saudi Arabia and Austria. Himself, Hyper, Jinx, Oven Curry and JRR are the only drivers to have raced in every single race this season. It's Jake May, Kofi, Douglas and Lucas Paul. They've all only missed 1. The rest are quite inconsistent at the moment, but I'm sure that may change very soon. As we watch the cars go around, I think Jack went for a spin there, just out of turn 11. And hopefully those tyres can cool down a little bit. He tries to take Puyang flat. And that was only going to end in one way, and that is a spin. So, anything else just to say? Comment on anything at all. Get a conversation going in the YouTube channel as Jack picks up a drive-through penalty for falling too far back, and it's Jake, mate. I think either had a spin or he's lost a few places. Some of those places have been given right back. He's got a good start. Fortunately, it's now dropped all the way to 13th. To Magnus, I think his driver may have came into the pits. They did. So himself and Syke, the only drivers to have stopped. Everyone else, all running okay. cars are just going through Bouillon now, and we should get going for the start of lap 4. There doesn't seem to be much action in the chat. Only 5 viewers at the moment. Hopefully we see it rise a little bit more as the race starts to come to a close. Not much has happened, but because it's such a long lapse around here in Belgium, any sort of safety car is a really long delay. And without a co-commentator, it is hard to manage your sanity. So Jack and JR are the only guys to pick up penalties, and Jack is going to have to serve his drive-through now as we wait for SLR Quattro to give us the go ahead to restart this race. Everybody swerving up and right and left and right and left and right. Hopefully no one goes too far and smashes into the back of somebody. Okay, I don't think there was any incidents on their safety car. Everything seemed to have gone okay. Incidents seem to be clearing up now as the races start to turn more into tracks than street circuits, as Quattro and Jinx lead the way for the start of lap 4 here in Belgium. And I think Quattro may have got a good getaway, or no, maybe he hasn't, because they're side by side here, himself and Jinx. Oh, JRR, what a getaway he's got. He's going to try go right round the outside here. He's definitely got Jinx. He may have to run a little bit wide. Can JRR possibly pick up SLR Quattro 2? You'll get a slipstream right up now down towards Eau Rouge and up to Radion now. They're both as Quattro loses the rear end a bit, and that could help JRR a lot because he's going to be in the slipstream, and if his setup is right, he could possibly go for an attack now down towards turn 5. Or turn 7, I should say. He backs out of that. And Quattro keeps the lead from this time JRR. Jack did come into the pits and psych, and it's Jake May trading places down there on the back. So Quattro is driving away a little bit, and that's someone spinning. That's Jaeger, who's spun. Hasn't lost any sort of wing, and I think he's going to be okay. He's going to let Hypex through. He has Psych right behind him. These guys are all trading places here at the moment, and I'm sure Psych is going to try it here down the inside here at turn 13. He's just going to have to be a bit careful, and he is. And back 2 I think will be round. Back 2 is round. Back 2 is around, and luckily no front wing damage, but I'm sure he won't be too lucky, as that's him now down to P15. Switch back to the leaders. Well, Quattro already a second ahead, and Jinx showing his true pace around here, and is going to try go around the outside here, and now down the inside into the bus stop chicane. Jinx has taken back P2. JRR may kind of would want to take that back again off him. Jinx goes a little bit wide there through the entry of turn 1. But Jinx has got back to place and has a little bit further to go now if he wants to try and battle with SLR Quattro for the lead of the race. Three-way battle here possibly for P2, and Owen Curry wants to get back his podium position that once was his, but JRR has defended it well. Keeps P3 for now, and Owen Curry picks up a penalty for exceeding track limits. I'm sure that's not going to be the only one of them. Hypex is around. Awkward spot there. He's going to have to be careful he doesn't lose the car again. Back 2 is going to start to close up to him now a little bit closer. Switching back to the leaders of the race. Owen Curry trying to get close as back 2 does get by Hypex, but that's only because Hypex is around. Jack goes past him as well. And Owen Curry, we missed it, has got by JRR and is up into the podium places now. We may see Tyro back there though again. Oh, Tyro getting very close to JRR as he tries to get a move done. He's really, really quick in a straight line here, Tyro. He's may going to dive one down the inside. JRR almost goes into the back of Oven Curry, and Oven Curry, well, PTSD flashbacks from what's happened to him before. It looks like, is any of these three drivers going to pick up a fastest lap? Probably not with all the battling that's going on, but they definitely all have pace to possibly be battling with Quattro if they weren't all battling with themselves. And someone who's going to try to get involved is Tiernan McSee right behind them. In his debut race, he's currently running P6 and is 3 seconds ahead of Rando, running a fantastic race. And Alfa Romeo, who are currently P8 in the constructors, are going to bring home some solid points today if it stays like this, as JRR goes to attack on Oven Curry again and dashes round the outside, but Oven Curry is going to try and stick with him and stays in P3 with some brilliant defending, as now Tyro is going to try one down the inside of JRR into Bruxelles, and he does take the place back, and he is into P4 and is now going to start to close on Oven Curry. So this is getting very interesting indeed between these drivers. I think that's Hypex gone for another spin as his race is starting to come to a close. Oven Curry's starting to fall away from Jinx. Jinx is keeping a reasonable gap to Quattro, showing that they've very similar pace. So Quattro is just going to know that if he makes a mistake, he could be in trouble. So he's going to have to just be a bit wary of that. More trouble for Hypex. Can't quite seem to keep the car in a straight line. So if history doesn't repeat itself, I have a feeling that Hypex may or may not be one of the next drivers to retire. And hopefully that isn't in a ball of flames and it's just a wheel into the pit lane. Some drivers that have made a miraculous comeback. Syke has already made his pit stop, and now look at him in P9. He's getting quite close to the back of CRM Doodle here as they head up towards Radion now. Very, very quick. Oh, that's Tiernan around. What a race he was having. He wanted to turn his car around quickly before he's disqualified. And he has been disqualified. Ooh, that is really disappointing. He was driving so well. And a spin off the exit of Radion, which he picked up wing damage for. And a stupid game mechanic which retires him before he's even spun himself round. It's quite annoying, but that's unfortunate. Tiernan McSee out of this race. Missing all that. Syke gets by CRM Doodle. Oh, but not for long! That's Syke around! That's Syke around at turn 12. And that has possibly ruined his race. Oh, and his friend doing so well up in P4 at the moment, and he was making such a good comeback drive until that happened. Now the gap to look at, Jinx starting to catch up to SLR Quattro here, both fairly similar ERS. You can see that he's getting a lot closer. You can see Quattro in the distance. Oven Curry can only barely see the guys in front in the distance. We're 8 laps into this race and we've only had 2 retirements, and other than that it's been, well, 4 laps of brilliant racing since we've got underway. Hypex and its Jake may pick up identical time penalties pretty much at the same time there as to Magnus gets by Jaeger, and he's starting his well and deserved comeback drive since his spin on lap 1. He is up to P9. Now hopefully he doesn't do the same thing as Syke and possibly lose the car. Williams want to get back in this constructors battle, and with Hyper next car ahead of to Magnus, It's going to be a battle to see if Williams can get on top and get a little bit closer. They're currently 50 points behind, with Magnus still yet to score a point for Williams in the Constructors. He's still yet to score a point in Tier 1 at all. So it's going to be interesting to see if the guy P2 in Tier 2 can do some good business in Tier 1 once. Because he's only finished one race in Spain out of the points. We'll switch to penalties. Jaeger's the only person with 6, the rest all on 3. As far as pit stops, Magnus, Syke and Hypex the only ones to make them. Everyone else still yet to stop, with the pit window probably coming up soon. JRR has dropped off a little bit from Tyro. I wonder why that is. It's given Tyro now a little bit of time to get himself set to try and chase down Owen Curry, but with a bit of a poor exit out of the bus stop, he's also got a second now behind Owen Curry and has a bit of work to do to catch up. The real battle here is the battle for 7th place, as Alpine Rando is doing a fantastic job in P6 at the moment, just barely missed out on a podium in Singapore, finishing 4th. And with Douglas missing today, he has a big job to do for Alpine, who are currently running, I'm pretty sure, P5 mid-table in the Constructors. No, they're actually P3 in the Constructors, so he needs to do a big job here in order to keep them in their fight with Williams for P2. And, well, he's already got a 3-second gap to Doodle, who's doing a fine job for Mercedes here, better than Legend and its Jake may have done in the past few races themselves. Obviously their best result of the season being Legend finishing 2nd, unable to race here today though. Hyper is getting a little bit closer and closer to Doodle, and it's going to be about time before he eventually tries to make a move here. Runs a little bit wide though through Pouillon, and all of this holding up from Doodle has allowed not only Magnus and not only Jaeger, but also its Jake mate to make it a 5-way battle here for 3-point positions, or for 4 points positions. So everyone is going to be wanting to get involved. Oh, but it won't be Hyper. He flies around there at turn 16. And did he reset the track there? No, he didn't. He just lined back up. Sorry. I looked away for a second. It looked like he had straight lined his car, but no, he's okay. It's Jake mate and Jaeger battling now. So now all 4 are all battling for P7, and as Tyro comes into the pits, they're all back into the points now. Hyper will not be able to battle for his P7, and unfortunately may only be battling for the points now. It's Jake mate and Jaeger have been going side by side for almost half a lap now, and this is incredible. Side by side through Eau Rouge. This could only end badly. It's not. It's ended with its Jake mate with a lovely move down the inside of Eau Rouge, and he has taken his place back for P8. What an incredible move from its Jake mate, who's now going to try and fast forward a bit, get onto the back of 2 Magnus, and see what the Mercedes can do from there. As Hypex goes around yet again, it's only a matter of time before he gets lapped. The interesting thing to see is who's going to bite first as far as the leaders. Who's going to come in, who is going to try an undercut, or maybe even an overcut. We know an undercut is definitely the most powerful around here, being such a long track. It does, your tyres do get warmed up before that lap is even over, and you're already going really quick. It's the short laps where the overcut is really important. Hypex, who's a minute behind the driver in 14th, is into the pits, and I'd say that will be a retirement more than likely. It is. So that is the end of Hypex, and Quattro is bit the bullet first. He is in. Along with him is, I think, JRR. No, it's not. Who is in with him? I don't think anyone has come in with him. I think Quattro just decided to come in a little bit early here. Now the interesting thing, I'm guessing Jinx will try and react and go this next lap. A huge factor in this championship would be if somebody hit the wall now and possibly gave Jinx a huge advantage. Maybe a safety car came out. Now Jinx will only be dreaming of that scenario. Everyone else, maybe even Owen Curry and JRR would love that scenario, possibly even Rando as well, if they could possibly get a bit closer. Rando is starting to gain a little bit on JRR here, both on the hard tyres, both started on the hard tyres. You know, they are going to go a little bit longer than they may need to, but if it's at that stage now where if it's a safety car, either the mediums or the hard runners can come in and get to the end on the next tyre. It's just for any of those drivers on the sauce, which I don't think anyone is at the moment. Everyone has made a pit stop other than it's Jake May and Jaeger. Two Magnus and Quattro have made pit stops, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Williams drivers do here, because Magnus will probably want to let Quattro by, but he doesn't want to lose too much time, and luckily it's Jake May has gone around, so he won't lose too much time. Being put into a bit of traffic is now going to be held up by CRM Doodle here a bit. This is going to be interesting to see, because Jinx more than likely is going to come into the pits now on lap 11, which he does, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Quattro will get ahead or not, because he is being held up a lot here by CRM Doodle as they head up towards the bus stop. You don't know how much he could be slow through here. Almost goes into the back of him, Quattro, and he's not going to get the outlap he wanted, and he's still going to be behind CRM Doodle. Will Jinx come out ahead of him? His pit stop is done. CRM Doodle is by for now, but Jinx will get to cut a bit of that track here now on the exit. CRM Doodle, he's got by, and so too has Quattro, but they are right beside each other now. Obviously Quattro being on faster tyres could play a big impact. Obviously too Magnus as well is going to be really close and on fast tyres, so he could possibly get close to Jinx. CRM Doodle may still try and battle here with Quattro. Quattro more than likely is going to get by, and it's going to be a car's length between Jinx and Quattro here. And to Magnus, he's going to try and put a bit of his car maybe even between Jinx and Quattro, do something here for the drivers, because he's not been able to do much for the constructors. He almost takes out Jinx here. He snatches a little bit of wheel banging and he gets through. A lovely move from Magnus, getting the wheels, his elbows out a bit aggressively, but it is a nice move down the inside there of turn 10, and he is up into P5, and Jinx's race is starting to fall away from him now because Quattro is flying away and Jinx can't do anything but watch. He probably could have, if he had an engineer, he probably could have even stayed out another lap and watched Quattro lose time, and he could spend that lap going quicker than Doodle and Magnus, and he would have came out ahead of them. Unfortunately, that's not the case. He's going to have to wait for them to pit again, if Magnus does pit again. Now it's starting to get a little bit cloudy here. Could that possibly mean rain on the way? They are into the pits. SLR Quattro sets the fastest lap of the race, and he has Rando next to chase down for the lead of the race, but Rando obviously the only driver now not to have had a pit stop. It's only a matter of when, not how, Quattro will get by Rando, because Rando obviously does have to make that pit stop. Jinx absolutely rapid down the straight here, and he's going to go to the inside of 2 Magnus, and he's going to be ahead of him before the braking zone. And now, although being 3 seconds behind, he is back in the shooting zone of SLR Quattro. There's no cars in his way as he heads now down through turn 10, and the end of this race is getting near, and it's just going to be a question of which driver takes the lead of the championship. Does Quattro take the lead, or does Jinx maintain it? It'll be interesting to find out. Tyro, out of all this, who haven't been able to focus on the last place on the podium, which at the moment is going to go to Tyro, because Tyro has got by Owen Curry in the pit lane and is now up into P5, but obviously with Magnus on really old tyres, which will probably be overtaken soon, and if not, he'll have to come back into the pits. Rando yet to make a pit stop. He should be in the next last podium place. And Rando does eventually bite, come into the pits, and he's going to get on his medium tyres. So Jinx 3.7 seconds behind Quattro. A long, long way back. He has to do a lot of work now to try and catch up to Quattro. And I wonder if he can do it. So Rando has come out in a comfortable P7. CRM Doodle and Jaeger. Well, CRM Doodle in a bit of good spot here for Mercedes in P8. Jaeger under pressure from back 2, but doing a good job in P9. Then it's more or less Hyper. It's Jake May are the only two that will possibly battle for that last points position. The other two drivers a long way away and hoping for a safety car. But more penalties for Jaeger puts him up to 9 and is possibly going to drop him out of the points and not going to be giving McLaren many points today. So SLR Quattro leads and has pretty maintained a good gap here to Jinx. Jinx himself isn't able to go any quicker. The fastest lap still belongs to SLR Quattro. For the podium, are starting to battle again. It's a matter of time when Tyro starts to catch up to Magnus and possibly take back P3. I'll be back in just a short second. I hope nothing crazy happens while I'm gone. Looks like nothing crazy did happen. Still 7 laps to go, and it still seems to be going the way of SLR Quattro, who's now extended his gap from 3.7 to 4 seconds. As these guys battling for the podium start to get a little bit closer to Magnus, who obviously is going to the end, but his tyres could completely explode soon enough. They just better not get too caught up with battling him themselves, and they may as well just wait for Tyro possibly to catch up. But Oven Curry, with a bit of oversteer at the final corner there, has to correct it, and he and JRR has snuck around the outside and has taken P5 off him. Tyro a lot closer to Magnus now. It's been a long time since we've seen Tyro on the podium. I think if I count back, it's going all the way to his last win, which was Saudi Arabia of season 3. I think he's won another league races between then, but as many drivers like to say, this is their home of racing. This is where they most enjoy it. Tyro's clearly showing that, and he'd love to make that a reality with a win today. He has with a podium today. He has 6 seconds penalties though, so if he gets by, he has to do a big job in order to get 3 seconds ahead. He is gaining on Magnus here. Is he gonna launch one down the inside? Not yet anyway. He's just managed to stay safe, but Magnus goes a bit wide, and Tyro is gonna get really, really close to the back of the Williams driver as they go pretty much head to tail, the four of them all battling for one spot on the podium, as Tyro is crashing down the Kemmel Straight. He's way too quick for the Williams. He's gonna get by, and it looks like JRR is gonna try and join him. So that means that the battle continues now between both Ferrari powered cars. One being a Ferrari, the other being an Alfa Romeo. It's looking like Quattro has this race wrapped up. He is 4.7 seconds clear, and it's only getting clearer than that, and I think Jinx may have just accepted that. He's going to take home P2. Jinx hasn't been on the podium since Bahrain, where he hasn't won the race. So is that curse going to continue, or will he be able to hold on? The real curse is, who of these guys are going to be on the podium? Will it be Tyro for the first time in over 20 races, I think? Well, maybe not 20, I think. First time in over 19 races, or 18 races. JRR will be for the first time in 4 races. He hasn't been on it since he won in Singapore. And he's back on it there with a move down the inside of the final corner. And he is back up, not only on track, but with penalties too. He is back in P3, and with 5-lap old or 3-lap newer tyres on a softer compound, it's looking like it's going the way of the Alfa Romeo this time. Tyro, oh, he's flung into the barriers. He's lost it up through Radion. He's hit the wall, and I think he's just far enough off the track where it won't be a safety car, but it's Tyro who is out with 4 laps to go. Oh, it's heartbreak, but it's good heartbreak, at least for Owen Curry and JRR, who all gain a place without having to battle with a car in front. But Tyro is at least going to take home a P5. It's now only going to be a DNF for TYRO. It's not gone the way of Tyro and Syke yet again here on their return to the CTCR grid. Maybe they're waiting for the new season. I don't know. But hopefully for the new game next season we have them. Possibly Randro as well. Maybe Quattro. We could have a brilliant championship battle if all them are at the RA game. Obviously Owen Curry, Kofi, JRR. We'll have such a competitive grid. Everyone battling for some great positions. But for SLR Quattro, the season starts tonight. He's gonna probably take home his first win, well, since Britain last race. But he's going to take home his 4th win of the season and make it 4-2 to him as far as race wins go. And if it wasn't for his 2 DNFs, he could be miles ahead in this championship. But because of those 2 DNFs, it's looking like it's only going to be, well, 4 points ahead. So that means Jinx with Monza and Hungary and all still to come. He has a bit of a job to do. Both Ferraris DNF'd today. One Alfa Romeo is out, but at least JRR is going to bring home a huge amount of points to help them out in the Constructors. Oven Curry's potential championship battle could start today with another P12, another solid performance from him, which is, he hasn't finished below a podium since Imola when he DNF'd. We all remember he should have been on the podium that day as well, so his season could be going a lot differently. But he's going to get back up into P3 now, with obviously Hyper having one of his poorest races he's ever had. Now, obviously, Jaeger with 15 seconds of penalties and a few others with 6. If there was a late safety car, if that feature was a thing, he could possibly catch up and get a load of positions, but that's not going to happen. It's going to be Oven Curry who's going to take home P3, and Lucas Paul, unable to race, means that JRR will overtake him. And I think he may overtake Hyper as well and go up into P4. That's all before the reports. I don't think there will be many reports. It's a clean race today, other than, well, however, Griffin DNF'd on the Camel Straight. 2.5 laps remaining, as it's Jake Mate picks up another penalty, which puts his total to 9, and it's going to make it awkward between him and Jaeger, I think. Well, no, it's 6 seconds, so he should be okay. It's him and back 2 and possibly even Hyper towards the end, but I think he'll be okay to bring home P9. CRM Doodle 7th Rando with a great performance in 6th to Psych, speeds in the pit lane, and I guess that is going to be a return. That's back 2 off into the grass, and that's going to invite Hyper back into the points more than likely. Well, Psych, I think, has came onto the soft tyres. He's going for the fastest lap. Fair play to him. He's going to try it. His time to beat is a 1:45.9 by Hyper. More than likely, I think he will beat that, but we'll see. Rando gets by to Magnus. Obviously, Magnus being on really old tyres, 17 laps. And around Spa as well isn't easy. And Rando is going to take home possibly P5, and I think about that, unless Owen Curry and JRR pick up possibly another penalty. Rando is driving one of the best races he has ever driven here in this league. Obviously, he's won races before. He's been on the podiums, I think, many times before. But this is a very impressive drive against one of the most competitive grids there ever has been. He is showing that he is still a force to be reckoned with. Currently running P5, and if a few penalties ahead go his way, he may even see himself introduced onto a podium. We will see. But as this man starts his penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, he's getting close to lapping Syke and Jack, hopefully before they set possibly the fastest lap. Syke is going to get 2 goes at it anyway. It's going to be another win for SLR Quattro. So as he starts the final lap of this race, Jack is in the pit lane, possibly going to try and set a fastest lap himself. It's SLR Quattro starting his final lap of the race. Syke 7 tenths up in his first sector. It's looking like he is going to set the fastest lap. More than likely he'll have 2 goes at it anyway, because Quattro has not lapped him, so his race does not end this lap, it will end next lap. Jinx gets by the ghosted car of Jack, and Oven Curry and JRR are going to have a little bit of a last battle to the end here for the podium. Oven Curry with DRS enabled on the last lap gets by and is going to bring home his third podium of the season, his third in 4 races, and is back onto the podium yet again. What an overtake towards the end of this race. We'll keep an eye on Syke, who's 1.7 seconds up. I think he already has the fastest lap wrapped up before he's even got there. So that, although not being able to finish in the points, that is a great finish for him. We'll see now as he comes up towards the bus stop chicane. Will Syke rob that extra point off Hyper? Out of the final corner on the fresh soft tyres. Syke, a 1:44.9. Fastest lap of the race. But SLR Quattro, ever since he set that 1:42.755, was the win ever in doubt, because he has dominated this race from start to finish, wins his 4th race of the season, and he wins that in Belgium. Quattro wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Jinx to finish in 2nd with a very good drive himself. But it's Quattro who takes the lead of the championship by 4 points. It's Oven Curry who finishes 3rd, with JRR just missing out in 4th. Rando, what a drive from him to finish in 5th. To Magnus, well, the tyre whisperer somehow manages to coast this car home in 6th. And Jaeger finishes in 7th. CRM Doodle will jump Jaeger and go up into P7 anyway, and almost gets P6 off Magnus. It's Jake Mate, has Hyper quite close to him, but I don't think he'll be close. He will be close enough. So it's Jake Mate will only be able to take home a point, but it's a point well deserved for him. And it's his first point, obviously, since last weekend in Britain. He maybe would have liked to have taken home a few more than that day. So back to next across the line, his Tier 1 full-time debut, only 11th for him. He tried to set the fastest lap but wasn't able to. And we wait now just for Syke, the final driver, to cross the line to finish in 12th with at least the fastest lap. He's going to do a few donuts just to celebrate his return to McLaren. But brilliant race. Very clean race, we should say as well. And it was definitely an enjoyable one to watch. He doesn't want now to retire from the race. He's hitting almost every barrier he wants. As he reverses across the line to win the 12th place of the Belgian Grand Prix. Yeah, well-deserved driver today from Rando. Has drove from 16th on the grid all the way to 5th. What a race from him after his mistake in qualifying, or whatever happened to him in qualifying. But, well, it's a sight that I have never seen before. SLR Quattro will walk onto the podium, this time as a Grand Prix winner. And as I say this time, I think now that is the 10th time he has won the race now. 4 this season, 6 last season. Is it 6? Yeah, 6 last season. That is absolutely incredible. Or was it 6 or was it 5? He won... SJR won the first, then he won 4 in a row. Then he was taken away and won in Canada. He didn't win Nimla, no, so it's his 9th win of the season. He could probably be the first driver to take home 10. But he wins in Belgium from first. Was it ever in doubt? Probably not. A very solid lap as well that he was able to set on hard tyres. Jinx in 2nd. It's going to keep the championship hopes alive, and it's a very clean championship from these. They haven't really got to race side by side yet, and when it does, it's probably going to be quite interesting. Oven Curry on the last lap of the race takes the podium off JRR, and he'll be happy to be back on the podium yet again since Austria, obviously, but with his mistake in Imola, I think that's only given him more firepower to go ahead and get 3 podiums in 4 races. JRR still hunting for that first podium since Singapore, P4 at best for him. Rando 5th, Magnus 6th, great race from both of them, and from the back of the grid, and also, well, not Magnus, but both of them were at the back of the grid at one stage and fought their way up hard. CRM Doodle 7th, Jaeger on his return in 8th, Hyper 9th, it's Jake May 10th, back to 11th, Psych with the fast lap in 12th, Jack in 13th, and the rest, Tyro, Hypex, Griffin and Tiernan, all DNFs. It's been a great race to watch. I hope it was a great race to watch for yous, and we'll see you in Monza this time next week. Good night.